Your right eye, your nose, your left eye, your left ear, and the back of your head. And what you have is this white stuff here on the right side of your head. Well, that's the question. We think it might be a tumor, but it's not entirely clear. But it involves this part of the brain called the temporal lobe. Okay? So to find out what it is, we were going to, you have a couple of options here. One is to do nothing, in which case it's probably going to get worse because your eyeballs are in the front of your head, but the part of your brain that sees is back here. And the way your vision crosses over, you've lost all your vision on the left. Okay? The other option would be to do a biopsy. But this is more than just sticking a needle in because it involves a large area. So if you stick a needle in, you might miss the important part. So what we would do would be to do a small craniotomy. Make an incision on the right side of your head here. And then we can go in and then biopsy this part of your brain right in here on the temporal lobe. That part of the brain doesn't have much function. We would open a little window in the bone of the skull, do the biopsy, put the bone back and close things up. That way we can find out what this is and figure out what's the best thing to do for it.
What you recommend?
Yes. We could do a needle biopsy, but the problem is a needle biopsy gives us just a piece of tissue about 1 centimeter long, about the thickness of a pencil lead. So it's not a very good representation.
But you're not going to do that.
I prefer not to, but it's your head.
What are you going to do?
I would do the small craniotomy on the right side.
How much of that you take out?
This, maybe, see the problem, you have all this swelling here that's starting to press up against the tissues. If we look higher up, you have this is the midline, this dotted line. You have it's putting pressure, shifting your brain into the left side of your skull.
What for is that?
Well, that's what we're trying to find out. But I would try to take out this deeper part of the brain here because that's pressing up against your brainstem, and that's going to get you into trouble if you swell up anymore. I mean, it looks like it might be a tumor from the brain tissue itself, not spread from that anywhere else in your body. They happen. And then, depending on what we find, if it is a tumor, then we would probably recommend treating it with radiation. Or if it's not a tumor, then we figure out what it is. It doesn't really look like an infection, though.
What else would it be?
It could be an infection.
Other than an infection?
Well, that's pretty much it. It would be either a tumor or an infection. Most likely a tumor. And because it involves this whole side, this is your left eye. This is where your left vision is. That's all damaged right now.
You say it's damaged, but you don't know how it's damaged.
Well, from whatever this is. And then we have you on some steroid medication to reduce the swelling. So the steroids will help reduce the swelling, might improve your vision. And if this is a tumor, radiation might improve the vision.
Sounds like a good plan.
Well, I'll let you think about it. We were going to do this on Monday, if that's okay with you and your family.
Yes.
It is an operation. The risks are that making the incision can cause bleeding, infection, or pain. You have a big muscle on the side of your head that closes your jaw. You're going to have to take down part of that muscle. We'll put it back together, but it's going to be tender when you talk or chew. There's risks of touching the brain causing a seizure or a stroke. But that's why we're going in this area. This area, because it doesn't have much function, so it shouldn't hurt you. Okay? And then once we find out what this is, then we can talk more specifically about what to do about it, what it means and what to do. Okay?
Well, it's going to be either not much of anything. That little boy doesn't have too much function, you said, right?
Right. You won't miss it.
Tumor?
Right.
Tumor's a problem.
Yep.
But there's different kinds of tumors.
There absolutely are. And that's why I can't tell you all the details about what it means or what the treatment will be just yet until we find out what kind of tumor it is. Okay?
What's the worst case scenario?
The worst case scenario is that it's a cancer. But, you know, the way I try to explain this to people is, you can see there's something on your MRI scan. I think it's a tumor. That's like saying it's not, you know, the analogy is, I can say that this is an automobile. It's not a truck or a motorcycle. But we need to know what make automobile it is. Is it a Cadillac, a Chevy, a BMW? And of that make, I need to know what model it is, so I know exactly what I'm dealing with. Is it a Chevy Camaro, an Impala, or a Corvette? And that's how we grade these tumors. There's many different types of tumors, just like there are many different manufacturers of cars. There's astrocytoma, oligodendroglioma, ependymoma, there's a whole bunch of them.
What causes it?
Bad luck. We don't know yet. What kind of work do you do? Well, what did you do? IRS?
Maybe that's why. He was an accountant for many, many years.
An accountant?
Yes.
So the one thing that's been associated with tumors, but it's not a cause and effect like smoking and lung cancer, for instance. Organic solvents sometimes seem to be associated. And so in certain industries, manufacturing industries, there have been some increased incidences of brain tumors. There was a problem down in Tom's River for a while, back in late 90s, early 2000s, where they had a lot of groundwater contamination.
Who did that?
And not Tom's River. That was the one, that was a civil action. That was Woburn, Massachusetts. Exact same problem though, and Tom's River hired the same lawyer. But in Woburn, the groundwater contamination was causing leukemia and lymphomas mainly. In Tom's River, it was causing a lot of brain tumors for some reason. Because Ciba-Geigy had a chemical plant down there, and I forget who else was down there, but just like in the book and in the movie. Did you read the book? Or you just saw the movie? Yeah. Read the book, it's even better. But it was the same problem with the municipal well. And I used to see tons of people from Tom's River. And then they hired that lawyer from Woburn, Massachusetts. And instead of suing everybody, he got everybody to the table. and said, we have a problem, let's fix it. And they cleaned up the water, and barely some people from down there. But those are the only things. I think in the accounting business, unless you have a hobby, washing, automobile parts with benzene, or something.
Okay.
No, listen. All right, well, I'll let you and your family think
Myrtle.
about it.
You been there?
On the surgery schedule for Monday.
Really?
The hold spot.
We played golf there a few times.
Okay.
Everybody I know is moving down there.
Yeah.
I don't know yet. I haven't
It's got to be warmer than here. I mean, this is the Arctic.
It'll probably be coming out anytime next. All right.
I hear him mention surgery. We do biopsy. Probably my biopsy. Yeah.
But you people say it's already charting done for that time, right?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sure. So, I mean, that's the plan. It's best that he knows, and he didn't seem to be. He seems to understand it.
He does.
He is somewhat confused, but at the same time, you can see that he's still in there.
Yes.
But there are some things that he is confused about, so you got to be careful. His vision is completely out on the left.
I wanted
He's
to ask
probably
you that.
struggling with I mean, he couldn't even see my hands when I was trying to explain it to him. But he has lost all this vision.
On the left.
Yeah. So it makes it, in our culture, you drive on the right side of the road, so people always, they cross the yellow line, they do head-on collisions. Yeah. Making left turns, they get hit. So it's dangerous from that standpoint. The other thing is reading English, you read left to right, so it can be very hard. You read across the line of text, you can't find the next line. So he's going to be very frustrated if he tries to read.
No, I heard you say that you're going to take part of the brain that obviously is non-functional to relieve pressure off
Yes,
of
but
the spine.
Not
Or
off
the
the
brain,
spine,
I'm
off
sorry,
of his
or the
brain.
brain.
Yeah.
And that will help restore or maintain what he currently still has left of his vision? What are the chances?
It's not going to do anything to his vision
Okay.
because this is in front of where the vision is. The way the vision fibers are, they come back from the eye and they come out back around here before they run here. They run down the middle of the brain. But this is going to get the pressure off of his brain stem, which right now isn't a problem, but could well become one. And, if this turns out to be a tumor, radiation is the way to go. The radiation initially causes things to swell up, so that's going to get worse and put more pressure on his brain. So that's the rationale I'm kind of anticipating down the line. Number one, the goal is to find out what this is. Number two is to do, if we can, do anything to help him in the future, especially if, basically to make room for any radiation swelling. Because his brain's already pretty swollen and tight, and the way it's shifted over into the left side of his skull can become a problem.
And that's because of the infiltration and the swelling? Combination of that?
Both, yes.
Have you ever seen anything like what he has? Like anything?
Yes.
Anyone else similar?
Unfortunately, yes.
What are the chances of him going blind in his left eye?
It's actually not his left eye. Your vision it gets complicated,
Right.
but your vision is split down the middle. Okay, so the temporal vision of your right eye goes to the left occipital lobe. The nasal vision of your right eye goes to the right occipital lobe. Okay, so if we did a more formal evaluation, what you would see is that in his left eye, he can't see from here out, but he can see from here in. And on his right eye, he can see from here out, but he can't see this way. So if you have him close his left eye, he can't see his nose. because he doesn't have any nasal vision in the right eye.
So he actually has, in both of his eyes, the vision is lost. So
Okay.
if you're looking from his point of view, he sees, from his left eye, he sees this way. From his right eye, he sees this way. And all the stuff on the left side is kind of gone.
And he didn't recognize the impairment?
People don't usually recognize.
No, because usually something like this, it happens so gradually that you don't recognize it until you wreck your car, until you start complaining endlessly about not being able to read. They just say, oh, my glasses, I need new glasses or something. But eventually something happens and you realize catch them. They keep walking into the door jamb, you know, because they don't see it.
We'll do this Monday.
Yes.
And then once we definitively diagnose him, then we'll talk about a treatment plan, because obviously we're going to have a lot of questions about radiation at his age and what that entails and how
Yep.
we're going to move forward with all of that.
And, you know, I mean, doing the biopsy, this is a pretty big tumor. It involves a lot of the brain. Doing the biopsy will give us the information, and if, you know, then that's the next step is what to do about it. Sometimes people don't do anything, and that's fine. But at least you know what you're dealing with. And, you know, radiation, you know, we can talk about that more. That's done once a day as an outpatient. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
See you Monday.
Thank you.
Okay.
See you Monday.